council meeting to order and ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Vice Mayor Wright.
Here.
Councilmember Gutierrez-Brayton.
Here.
Councilmember Madrigal. Councilmember Ricky.
Present.
Councilmember Canoyer.
Present.
And Mayor Zwalin.
Here. I have one brief announcement that there will be a special public council meeting after the certification of the election to formally thank Councilmember Madrigal and Councilmember Canoyer for their service and to swear in new council members. That date is to be determined after the certification of the election. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation from Shalom Bachner Congregation Beth Shalom.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. I invite everyone to take a deep breath and feel centered and grounded. And I ask that together we create a spiritual intention for this meeting. We are grateful to the beyond name oneness of the source of all life, the divine presence of many names and many peoples, and we say thank you for the gift of this day. Thank you for the many blessings in our lives. May these moments of centering ourselves, of finding our breath and noticing our heart and our intellect, guide us as we enter into the details of tonight's agenda and duties. We know that these are challenging times. Intense political division, hurtful rhetoric, hate speech, and actual violence have become all too common in our world and our nation. My own community stands alert as anti-Semitic acts rapidly increase across the country, leaving people frightened and even unsure about their long-term future here. None of this is normal or healthy. Yet we all have agency. We all have the power to change the narrative, to improve our society, to make a difference. Here in Modesto, we see the inspiration when people learn about and from each other. We can see a future where, in the words of the Bible, quote, "You shall lie down and no one shall terrify you." We are a city where many faiths and communities live side by side in peace and with tolerance. We need to ensure that this is who we continue to be. I ask that we all recommit ourselves to respectful dialogue, interfaith fellowship, building bridges across the political and ethnic divides, and engaging in acts of loving kindness. May we embrace the true diversity of this community and maintain and grow the connections and relationships that are at the heart of government, society, and the human experience. In the words of the Jewish prayer book, our God and God of our ancestors, with mercy, accept our prayer on behalf of our government. Pour out your blessings upon this land, upon its inhabitants, upon its leaders, its judges, officers, and officials who faithfully devote themselves to the needs of the public. Help them understand the rules of justice so that peace and security, happiness and freedom will never depart from our land. And so we pray, and we ask that this city, its government, its leaders and advisors, and all who exercise just and rightful authority are blessed. And may all who live here dwell in goodness and blessings, respect for diversity, and work together to make this a better place and a better world for all. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Does the city clerk have any announcements?
Yes, Mayor. Just a reminder, public comment is 3 minutes, and there are blue speaker cards out in the lobby.
All right. Do any of the council members have any conflicts of interest? Pursuant to Section 2-8.01 of the city's municipal code related to campaign reform, I will be recusing myself from item 8 out of abundance of caution due to campaign contributions received. Next is acknowledgements and presentations. We have a proclamation recognizing November 11th as Veterans Day, and I will read that proclamation. America's veterans have fought to defend our country, its values, and its interests since the first days of our founding. They have defeated tyrants, eliminated terrorists, and secured freedom at home and abroad. Their courage and fortitude in the face of adversity serve as an example for all Americans. On Veterans Day, we pause to pay tribute to all who have proudly worn our nation's uniform. These soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen selflessly place lives, well-being, and security of others before their own. We enjoy the privileges of peace, prosperity, and freedom because of our veterans, and we are forever indebted to them beyond measure. For their love of country and dedication to duty, America's veterans have endured adversity, loneliness, fatigue, loss, and made many other incredible sacrifices. Many sustained life-altering physical injuries and disabilities. Others bear the burden of emotional scars for the remainder of their lives. Our nation's veterans fully understand liberty's high and precious cost, for they have paid it every day since the formation of our republic. And our veterans represent the best of America, and they deserve the best America can provide them. To recognize and respect the contributions our servicemen and women have made in defense of America and to advance the cause of peace, the U.S. Congress in 1954 passed the bill proclaiming November 11th of each year be set aside as a legal public holiday to recognize America's veterans. These heroes served faithfully, humbly, and valiant in times of war and peace, and they carried these admirable traits into the civilian workforce when their military service was fulfilled. Our precious liberty has survived and thrived because of generations of brave Americans from every background and walk of life who have answered the call to support and defend the United States. The gravity of their contribution is immeasurable, and so is our debt to every single one of our nation's veterans. Now, therefore, the Modesto City Council does hereby recognize November 11th, 2022 as Veterans Day and encourages all citizens to recognize the fortitude and sacrifice of our veterans through public ceremonies and private thoughts and prayers presented this day. At this time, we have, accepting this proclamation, Ryan Kegley, U.S. Army veteran, County Veteran Services Officer, Stanislaus County Veterans Office. And accompanying him are Modesto veterans Jose Garcia, U.S. Marine Corps, Tom Kiko Cabral, U.S. Army, Raymond Pinto, U.S. Marine Corps, and Mariana Pierce from the U.S. Army. Please step forward. I understand that you'd like to make a few remarks. Welcome.
Oh, thank you very much. Just wanted to thank the mayor and the city council for the honor. It is an honor to accept this proclamation on behalf of Modesto's veterans and the veterans of Stanislaus County. Did bring my staff of County Veteran Services officers with me today. They are all veterans and work tirelessly for the veterans of our community. So with that said, it is a great honor, and we really appreciate the time and the honor that you've given to us and our veterans. Thank you.
We appreciate you being here this evening. Do council members have remarks? Vice Mayor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. Serving in the military myself for 6 years, appreciate your service to our country. It's sad that a lot of Americans, or some Americans I should say, don't realize the importance of our military that keeps us free. And I grew up during the Vietnam War era, and my fellow servicemen and friends that I had coming home from Vietnam wasn't treated very appropriately. And I hope that young Americans realize that it's people like yourselves and others that sacrifice to keep us free. Thank you very much for your service, and glad you're here today.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Councilmember Madrigal.
Just wanted to also offer my thank you and appreciation today and every day for your service. I have a brother who served 10 years in the Army, four tours in Iraq. I don't mind sharing, he came back with some pretty bad PTSD, and so I know how it affects not just the veterans, but also the families. And so for his sacrifice and for all of yours, I just want to say thank you today and every day.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we will join you and give you the proclamation and take a photo, if that's okay. All right. Item 2 is a proclamation declaring November 26, 2022 as Small Business Saturday. I will read the proclamation. According to the United States Small Business Administration, there are 32.5 million small businesses in the United States. Small businesses represent 99.7% of firms with paid employees. Small businesses are responsible for 62% of net new jobs created since 1995. And small businesses employ 46.8% of the employees in the private sector in the United States. And 79% of consumers understand the importance of supporting the small businesses in their community on Small Business Saturday. 70% report the day makes them want to encourage others to shop small. Independently owned retailers and 66% report that the day makes them want to shop small all year long. And Modesto supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities, and advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Now, therefore, the Modesto City Council does hereby proclaim November 26, 2022 as Small Business Saturday and urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year, dated today. And to accept this proclamation, we have Trish Christensen, President of the Modesto Chamber of Commerce. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. On behalf of the business community in the greater Modesto area, the Modesto Chamber of Commerce, standing in our 110th year, has always stood in the belief and support of Modesto means business. So as we look to launch into our new holiday season, I'd like to be the first to wish our business community a great, successful, and prosperous holiday season, and encourage our community that surrounds our businesses to shop local. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any comments from council members? Appreciate you being here. We'll step down and present you with the proclamation and take a photo.
Sounds good.
All right, next is public comment period. Does anyone wish to speak on any item under public comment? And this is for items not on the council agenda. Each person has 3 minutes to speak. I have currently 3 blue cards, and I notice there's several people on Zoom also. So first in person is James, it looks like Canner. Hi there, welcome.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm just here to, Mayor, council members, talk about the cruising. And, you know, back in, I'm going to date myself a little bit here, back in the 70s, when we used to cruise McHenry and J Street, you know, cars, you can buy the older cars for $500, okay, and fix them up a little bit and off you down the boulevard cruising. Nowadays, those cars don't cost $500. It costs thousands and thousands of dollars. Not only that, but I'm older, and the people that I used to ride with are older. Our mentality's changed, and you know, so I guess what I'm getting at is the crowd now that cruises is different than the crowd that used to cruise, and up to the point where the ban was enacted. Things have changed, and the other thing is, you know, my wife and I got a 1960 Impala about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and we got a lot of money into it, but we like to drive it. And so, you know, it's really nice to be able to cruise the old spots and stuff like that, you know, and I'm hoping that we'll get this ban lifted sooner or later. You know, that's my intention, that's my hope. But other than that, one thing I want to mention is that I understand the safety aspect. I totally get that. You know, last thing we want is any damage to our vehicles. You know, we're just out there with family, friends, have a good time. And we just want to enjoy, you know, just show off our cars, basically, what it really is all about. But I have to throw this out there because there's something else that kind of runs a little parallel to this, and I'm sure you're aware of this, sideshows, okay? That's a whole different lane of people, okay? When we have cruises, we encourage, in fact, if on our Instagrams and Facebooks, we don't want anybody like that when we do our cruises because of the safety aspect, okay? So anyways, that's pretty much it. I hope that this gets lifted sooner or later. It seems like it's the trend going to Sacramento, San Jose. I'm sure you've all researched and can talk to them to see what's going on over there and all that kind of good stuff. But that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. All right. Next online, I see Justice for Paul. It states that this person is using an old version of Zoom. So are you not able to promote them as a panelist?
They can call in. Can we give the phone number?
Sure. The phone number that I have, is that the one 877? Oh, excuse me, it's up there.
Can you hear me?
Yes. We
Okay,
can. We can hear you and see you.
Oh, uh-oh. I don't want you to see me. Okay. All right, so my
Okay,
name's Alicia. Are you ready?
Yes, we can see you. You're on camera, so you might want to turn the camera off. We can hear you.
You're cool. You could just look at my Diet Coke. All right, so my name's Alicia Hager, and I am talking about my brother, Justice for Paul, as we've all been talking about him for the past few months. Something happened this morning when I was in court for my own court date that also has to do with police brutality. I had a court case passing by me talking about he was in a family dispute here in Salida, having to get the cops called on him. Now, when he had the cops called on him with his family dispute between him and his wife, also drunk and angry and banging on his door and things like that, the cops also came up to his property. So these are very similar stories as Paul Chavez's case. The difference is when they came up to his property and were able to calm him down because they never introduced themselves and things like that agitates a person when they're drinking, is they tased him 2 times, just like Paul Chavez. He took the taser out just like Paul Chavez. That guy's still alive, not like Paul Chavez. The difference is they hit him with a beanbag gun after they shot him with those tasers that were failed. Now, these officers were well aware that he was drunk. These officers were well aware that he was being very protective over his household. And these officers were very well in how they handled a situation to calmly, gracefully approach a situation in a different matter at the end. So that way it changes the outcome. So, another difference of these 2 cases were they're 10 miles away from each other. So here, this happened in Salida. I actually went out to my court and actually spoke to this man because I wanted to know more information and make it more intimate between me and him. And it happened right here in Salida, only 10 miles away from us. So very, very close to home, yet I don't understand why we have more people in Modesto and we're taking less concern of our people. Now, Salida is a lot smaller of a city, so of course it's a lot more intimate with their people. Now, I'm trying to see if Chief Gillespie uses these other tactics. If he participates in training his his groups in these kind of ways. Is there another tactic that Chief Gillespie would like to share with us other than premeditated murder? Because here I see and hear and have it written down in numerous cases, it seems that they don't hold these block guns or beanbag guns in Modesto PD cars. So I don't understand really their intention when they're driving up to somebody's house. It must be premeditated murder because they thought about it and they purposely didn't put these B tactics inside their car. So they purposely are coming to these households on a kill shot. So I want to know if you guys agree with me. I know that we finally heard from Mayor Sue last week after months and months of silence, saying that she feels for our family and the Chavez family and for the boys that are never going to grow up with what real justice or what we believe real justice is supposed to be. So unfortunately, you guys have still yet to use your platform to push the DA. And unfortunately, our feelings don't make justice right. Our actions do. So while we have all these other cases of other tactics, I'd like to promote using these other tactics, not talking about it, not saying, oh, we should. This is protocol. And we need attention drawn to this protocol and responsibility taken for who is not using it, including Chief Gillespie. Thank you and happy Veterans Day. Thank you for all the veterans, including my family who fought for the country, but yet are shot by our police. Have a good day.
Thank you. Next, we have, is it Steve?
Yeah.
Quiller? I try to do my best with pronunciations.
Cunha is the name. Steve Cunha.
Got it. That's a familiar name.
Happy to see you all here tonight. Well, like I said, my name is Steve Cunha, and I'm the president of the Modesto Area Street Route Association. We put just about the biggest car show on in Modesto out in McHenry Village once a year. We're involved also in the Walk of Fame right out here outside. You know, back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, probably half of you up there remember cruising. If you weren't on 10th, you was on McHenry. I know I had 1 year of cruising 10th and 11th, and then it kind of shut down. We went to McHenry Avenue. I know times were different back then, but we didn't have a lot of trouble then. And I don't think the way the car culture is today, I don't believe we have a lot of problems with cars cruising. Now, the way McHenry Avenue is today, I don't think the cruising should be on McHenry unless it's a Kiwanis cruise. It's all sanctioned. If we're going to cruise, I think it should be downtown here somewhere where there's less traffic to deal with. That way people get to show their cars off. They can pull off the side of the road if they want. And it's all a family thing. You know, people talk about the lowriders, but the lowriders probably put more money in their cars than the average hot rodder does. I have 2 cars myself, and they're like a house. They're a big money pit. But you just stick money in it because you love them. You know, but I'm all for taking the band off at least once, twice a month, or 4 times a month. Let them cruise one night and have some fun. It's all about the family. It's the car culture, and it's a family thing. So that's about all I have to say about it, and thank you.
You're welcome. Next, I have online Teresa Clutter.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hello. Good evening.
As the council knows, but I'll introduce myself to anybody new that may be listening this evening. My name is Teresa Clutter, and I am the mother-in-law of Paul Chavez, who was murdered by Sam Muncie on July 14th, 2022. I would like to talk about time. Paul Chavez is my son-in-law. However, I don't like to refer him as that. So from this day forward, I will only refer to him as my son, because that's what he was to our family and to me. This boy came into my life when he was 15 years old. I watched him grow up. And every time we have one of these meetings, doesn't matter how many days go by, the day of the meeting, everything just, the emotions, everything starts coming back, and then it becomes a very emotional day for our family, because we can't remember him in the good. On days like this, we have to remember for what we saw that day, for what we can't unsee. And I just want to know, if you placed a call for help to 911 and an officer arrives, how much time would you want that officer to give you? Would it be only 26 seconds? Actually, it was 20 before Valencia tased him. And 6 seconds later, he was shot twice by Muncie. When standing there, not aggressive. So I ask you, counsel, I ask you, Gillespie, I ask you, Sue, if you call for help, an officer shows up, time, I want him to give you 26 seconds. We'd like them to give you the benefit of the doubt. Introduce themselves and say, hey, we've had a call for disturbance. What's going on, buddy? How's your day? There was no respect given. There was no empathy. There was no time. And that's something our family has to live with and deal with every day, forever. Time that was taken. He was 30 years old. I get to see his kids graduate. I would go on a date. Those boys are robbed of everything that their dad wanted to do with them. He wasn't a deadbeat. He was a man who worked hard and took care and provided for his family. And because he was having a mental breakdown, Sam Muncie decided the ultimate decision to take his life that day with no consideration for anybody or anything. And the chief is responsible for that. And should be held accountable, as well as everybody else that was there that day and did not do right by their policy. You could do right now, Chief. You could make it right. At least attempt to make some kind of difference and change the way you do things. Make your officers accountable for their actions and therefore their wrongdoing. Otherwise, you're guilty by association. So how much time?
Teresa, You've been heard.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next, Nason Sanchez in person.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. We want to thank you for opening up the floor, for giving us a couple minutes to speak. What I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to read a couple events that happened here locally and not too long ago. The first one, it was called the Hispanic Education Conference, and that was conducted and hosted at the MJC East Campus. The second one was the Latino Heritage Event, and that was hosted by the Vanguard College Academy. The next one was the Latin Comic Arts Festival, and that right there was hosted at the MJC West Campus. These festivals and these events that I just brought to your attention were different events where they specifically reached out. The organizers, the administrators to these events, they got a hold of us and they said, can you please bring your classic cars? Can you please bring your lowriders to this event? The reason is because they know and they recognize that lowriding and cruising has a lot to do with our culture, with our Chicano culture. It's something that has been around us for the past decades. And as James mentioned earlier, he said back in the 60s and 70s, you could go and get a classic vehicle or a vehicle for $500, put smaller tires on it, and voila, you had a lowrider. But times have changed. The younger generation, they're not going to be able to do that anymore. It came to the decision they're either going to have to get financed for a house or for a classic vehicle. It's sad to say that's what it's at. But what we do when we gather in one area and when we cruise our vehicles, we're showing our culture. We're keeping it alive. But with an ordinance against cruising, it throws a damper over it. It throws a cloud over it. We want to mimic, we want for the city of Modesto to pick up the no cruising ordinance just like our neighboring sister cities have done. And see the benefits and reap the benefits of it. To encourage the younger generation on what they love to do and what they've been around. And not only that, but I want to personally thank some of our council members, Councilman Chris Rickey and Councilwoman Escuda Bratton. We reached out to them to escort them for the Christmas parade in a lowrider. And they stepped out of the box and they did. I don't only speak on my behalf, but I speak on behalf of the people behind me and hundreds of other individuals. Thank you for doing that. And thank you for sending the message here on the Christmas parade. That's all I got to say. My time's up. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, next we have John online.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, perfect. Give me 1 second, please. All right. Of course, every meeting I go to, I just want to start with the three names. Paul III, Abraham, and Josiah. These are the three kids that never get to see their father again, unfortunately. Give me just a second here. I would love to prove a point. Give me 1 second. All right. Starting now, I will be silent. Give me 1 second. That was 26 seconds. That's how long this whole entire action took. Paul was accompanied by his wife, Brittany Estrella, aka Brittany Chavez, his 3 boys, and a whole gang of family. He did nothing wrong.
He dropped.
He's off.
He dropped.
All right, thank you. Next, Ramon Rodriguez.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Right. Anyways, I'm here last time and also today. I was talking about Officer Dustin Espinosa and why he wasn't being held accountable, especially in the wake of his first excessive use that he committed in June of 2019, as well as a beating of Alonso in February of last year, and also a third incident where the victim is unnamed, and I'm unsure if it's still in court. And I'm asking y'all, why isn't Dustin Espinosa being held accountable? Especially, everyone knew all the way up to the chain of command that he committed excessive force in 2019. That this first incident went to the federal court because the plaintiff was actually the victim's sister, and her rights were being violated because Modesto police committed a violation of the Pain Act. And Officer Espinosa was the one who beat her brother up, did the exact same thing that he did with Alonso and the third victim. And when Lisette tried to confront the officers of why they're treating him aggressively and inhumane, Espinosa got upset. Typical Officer Espinosa, just like we did with Alonso. He arrested her, he confiscated her phone, and falsely arrested and violated her First Amendment rights. I am really sick and shocked and angry that this officer is not being held accountable. The DA Flagler did nothing, and I wrote the letters of complaint several times, and she never even started an investigation until I read that Officer Dustin Espinosa's action was justified, and this was before the third incident. And last year, December of last year, Modesto B said that he painted a picture that he was the victim, Alonso's the aggressor. No, it's not. Alonso's the real victim. Dustin Espinosa's getting away, just like Sam Muncie. And this is really disgusting because the whole point is that this gladiator mentality, his training is based out of something out of Grand Theft Auto. And it's gotta stop because this is not a video game. This is real life with people's life in the hands from officers that are expected to serve and protect. And Officer Dustin Espinosa failed to do that. So I'm asking you all to hold him accountable and fire him, just like we asked to do the same with Sam Muncie. And if this is not resolved, then I'm going to file a complaint with the Attorney General to investigate this. Because there's no accountability in the city of Modesto. And I'm asking you all to do a simple thing, and you all failed it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next is Brittany Estrella Chavez.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. My husband was Paul David Chavez. I'm really freaking upset. And I'm going to tell you why I'm upset, because I've been really, really, really busy. One of those things being that I've been putting the DA's face all up around downtown, and to come to find out, she's been taking them down the very next day, which is fine. It's grand. It's dandy. I'll keep doing it. But what really grinds my gears is the fact that nothing still is happening. You want to sit here and play pretend and hold hands and act like there's not a real thing that's going on within your community. Do you like that? I didn't say city, I said your community. See, a community is supposed to be a whole welcome of friends and family that come together, but you divided that. When you divided that, you divided the people and your own government. See, I don't like that. The officers who came and that was supposed to aid to help, they also did that. What they did, instead of grabbing non-lethal weapons, except for Valencia, he actually had his taser, but I mean, he was probably an idiot too. And going back to Muncie, only moments later, shooting my husband twice, comply or die. I'm just in shock that how you guys are allowing everything that is happening, because you're going to sit there and you're going to say that you have no authority. Yet we've been looking and we've been researching. We know a lot. I don't understand when you think enough is going to be enough. Does it have to happen to your husband, to your brother, to your sister, to your child, to your child's brother or sister? When is enough going to be enough? Because all I have heard in the last 4 freaking months is how somebody else's son, 19, 29, 30, 31, can't even make it past their freaking birthday. It's always 2 to 3 months prior. Yet you sit there and do nothing. And what really upsets me is because I know a little bit and I'm still digging. But Mayor, you are in charge. You can gather your people up and you will have an army. And now I'm thinking, are you scared? Are you council members scared? You don't want to go up to the Modesto Police Department for what their wrongdoings are, because if we're going to treat this like cowboys and Indians, then so freaking be it. And I'll be right there by your side, and I will have a gang load of army to be right there by your side, to say enough is enough and this needs to end and we need to have repercussions and accountability. Because if you can't do it, then there should be no reason why you sit on that seat as mayor. And there should be no reason why that the council members are council members, because again, back in, what was it, 1911, 1912, that I had told you a couple meetings ago, on the whole reason why they had the mayor and the council members to do what that they are doing, but it's still going on. I want accountability. My family wants accountability. Fuck the lawsuit. Seriously, screw the lawsuit. I want him fired, Sam Muncie. I want him fired. I want him let go, and I want him prosecuted to the same means, by all means, as any other person that would do that. Actually, I would like that to be higher. If I was the person who pulled the trigger on the freaking officer himself, because I would have higher accountability. He was trained to know better. Yet, Chief Gillespie allowed him to go back on force, knowing that he already killed someone prior to. He's not right in the head. He's psychologically off. We all are. And he's an officer, and this is his second time, and he was the one who did the shooting and the killing? What do you think is going on in his head? Or do I need to actually find the person to go in there and do their own research and pull files? I'm asking you right now, before I start getting my hands really, really dirty and deep into that crap. Because they just did it in what, the Bay Area? They had to fire how many police officers because they failed a freaking psych test.
Brittany?
No, I'm done. Good.
Thank
you for allowing me my time. I appreciate it. And all I ask is that you review everything and do what is just, and what is just is right. Because we have the handbook and we're all looking through it. And each and every time that you or anybody else on that council seat don't do their job, we will call you out on it. Goodbye.
Good night. Sue lied.
Yes, good evening. Mayor Zwallen, since the beginning, throughout the entirety of the discussions in the Forward Together meetings, the theme of building trust in this community has been brought up over and over and over again. And I just think it's kind of ridiculous when you have ways that you can build trust like right under your nose. I just want to remind you that I haven't forgotten that you told a blatant lie to this community. You've been telling us for about 2 years now that you are not allowed to say anything in response or ask any questions whatsoever. There was not a caveat, and you did not say that that was your choice. You did not say that that was something that you were imposing on the council or that somebody was imposing on you, etc. In the rules on your city official website related to public comment period for city council meetings, it reads, only interested persons in the audience may present these matters. Under state law, council members may respond to matters being presented under this item only as follows. A, briefly respond to statements made or questions raised. That's not debate, so don't cop out and say you're not supposed to debate. I've heard that crap. I've heard it a few times because you know what? People have fallen for your lie, okay? B, ask a question for clarification. C, provide a reference to staff or other resources for factual information. D, request staff to report back at a subsequent meeting. Or E, finally, a council member or the council itself may take action to direct staff to place a matter of business on a future agenda. I would like to hear your thoughts. I'm very pleased you finally came out and expressed the smallest amount of human sympathy for this family, the family of Paul Chavez that your police department has stolen from them. But I would like for you to say more. I would like for you to hear your thoughts on the fact that Officer Sam Muncie only needed 26 seconds to murder Paul. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the fact that when he approached Paul was lying in the shade on the lawn, basically sleeping it off. And Officer Muncie approached him with his gun already pointed at him. I would like to hear your thoughts on those things. I'd like to hear your thoughts on how the hell there can be trust in this community when that's the kind of policing that you approve of with your silence and with your lies. Sue, you lied to this community. You lied to us. And I think it's disgraceful that you don't even feel obliged to say a damn word about it. Because when I'm done in a moment, you're going to say something in your sweet little polite political voice and say, thank you for your comments. And then you're going to say, next we have blah, blah, blah. You lied to us. You should be held accountable. You don't get away with that. You told a blatant outright lie. And it's hard to think it's not just because you don't want to talk about the corruption in your city and specifically in your police department. Do the right thing. Come clean. Be a human. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have another card? Okay. Next we have John.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, I'm not quite sure what happened earlier, but we'll chalk it up as a mistake, of course. If you can give me 2 seconds, of course, with a moment of silence. That was 26 seconds. That's how long it took to kill my cousin within the matter of pulling up to a job site and killing my cousin. It's a pretty weird coincidence if you ask me, but once again, I'm gonna start from the top because I've got nothing but time. I just want to start like I always do, of course, with the three names. Paul III, Abraham, and Josiah. Those are the three sons of Paul David Chavez Jr. that will never get to see their father again, unfortunately. Paul was accompanied by his wife and his three boys and a whole gang of family. He did nothing wrong. He had no weapons. He wasn't acting sporadic. He wasn't showing threatening signs. He wanted one thing and one thing only: to be helped, to be held. He wanted someone to understand what he was going through at that very moment, which clearly nobody seemed to have understand, of course. Seems typical to me. He wanted to know and be told that everything was going to be okay. He was scared of you monsters, not because he wasn't doing anything wrong, but because he knew all about how you people work. I myself struggle from mental issues, severe depression, severe anxiety, bipolar disorder, and ADHD. I have had multiple run-ins with the police myself. Why didn't you shoot and kill me when I had a knife in my hand? Or better yet, a baseball bat? Why wasn't I shot and killed when I physically threatened an officer to his face and all he did was laugh it off like I was the common idiot? I truly want to know the difference because we both had jobs. We both have wives, had wives. We both loved our lives the same. We had goals and we had dreams. Unfortunately, my cousin Paul does not get to live out his dreams, nor does his wife Brittany. Why not me? Oh, wait a minute. Was it the fact that I didn't have kids and he did? Or was it the fact that the officers that dealt with my situation were properly trained, unlike your officers, ma'am? But I'll let you decide that, of course, like you always do. At the end of the day, we lost a father, a husband to Brittany Chavez, a brother to Michael Chavez, a son to the three, Paul III, Abraham, and Josiah, a cousin with a list that I will not name because, oh Lord, it is so long, an uncle, a nephew, a grandson, and a best friend. Most importantly, we lost a human being at the end of the day. And to me and my family, that's not okay. We love you, CJ. We will keep your name alive, and we will get justice one way or another. Say his name, please. Justice for Paul Chavez Jr. And while I'm at it, give me 1 second, please. I know my time is up, but if you can, I just have one question, of course, off subject. Are any of you familiar with the year 1973? Are any of you familiar with the name George Lucas? I'm going to let that sink in because the people that know, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Let Modesto cruise. We're not doing nothing wrong but enjoying our little bit of life that we have here on this planet. Let Modesto cruise. San Jose did it. Why can't we do it? Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Next we have Roberto Gloria.
Hello, thank you for your time. Speaking on behalf of the Impala's Car Club. We're a car club locally here in the Modesto area. I just got my car about 2 years ago. Came into the club, and since I came to the club, I've met lots, a lot of people, a lot of good people. I actually have my own band. I have here locally here downtown, so I know like a lot of the spots like Ralston Go, some of the other locations where I perform myself. But now that I'm in the car club and in the scene, a lot of these owners that I'm talking to, They're trying to see if we can bring the cars to the location now, you know, at the same time as the music's going on and all that stuff. So now with me being in the car club scene, it's helping the car clubs interact more with the businesses, and I'd like to see more of the downtown that they were talking about earlier, seeing it here downtown versus in McHenry. We can go and support the local businesses. They've been real open to us, letting us have meetings, etc. Mike at Ralston Go, he's always, whenever we make a call to him, he's pretty open to us, letting us park the cars if we, you know, need to we can park the cars in the front or park them on the sidelines so we're not like in the way. But you know, overall, we just want to see the ban get lifted. I haven't seen nothing myself bad about any of it. I know they do have side shows and stuff like that, but like they were talking about earlier, we don't encourage none of that at our events. This weekend we're doing a turkey drive, you know, for the community. So basically, as the car club that I'm involved in, it's nothing but doing nothing for the community, supporting downtown businesses, and just trying to bring all the friends and family together. So that's all I really have to say. So I hope you guys can look at it a little bit further and see if you guys can help us lift that ban here in Modesto.
All right, thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else, excuse me, wishing to come forward to speak under public comment?
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Councilman. I thought we had that car club thing pretty much done, but I guess we're still on this issue. Yes, you guys, once again, I'm gonna say, hold the key to this. You can shut it down at any time. Let's not let the people come and be at your mercy. Let's do what's right. Because you guys hold the key. I'm with them. Just like I'm with the Chavez family. And that's why I'm running for District 2, right in City Council. And I understand their pain. I'm a talker, so I wouldn't sit up there and not say nothing. I'm gonna let them know that I'm with them. Just like the car club. I'm gonna speak. But I'm not there. But I'm trying to get there. But let's get this wrapped up. The winter time is coming. Let the cruisers do what they need to do. And let's understand the Chavez family. It should be a really open policy. If the police officer did wrong, let it be known. If I done a crime, by morning, I will be charged. By next week, I will be in court. By 3 months, I will be convicted. And I don't think that this family have to suffer. That's their loved one. They're in pain. You guys hold the key. Sometimes you have to bend the little rules a little bit to let the people know that you are representing them. I'm allowed 5 minutes. Thank you. But let's show the family. I hear it in their voice. They're expressing themselves. because it's not one of our loved ones. But I have to pretend Mr. Paul Chavez is one of my loved ones. He's gone on. He won't come back. So whatever we can do to, I don't too much know about that police union or whatever. Maybe I'll find out if I was sitting up there. But we need to have a little bit more open policy on, because we do have some good officers. But we do have some officers that think that badge gives them the right to take out somebody. That's not cool. But I'm with them. Just like I'm with the cruiser. I'm gonna let you go.
All right, Sebastian, your time's up.
Is that 5 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't want to disrespect. Thank you for my time. And that's why I'm telling the family to write Mr. Jones in, District 2, City Council. Thank you.
You're welcome. We will take a 5-minute break and return at 6:41. Thank you.
I'll let you get
Right.
Thanks.
All right, next on the agenda is consent items. An item may be removed from consent and discussed at the request of a member of the public or council member. Is there anyone on the council that would like a consent item removed for further discussion? Is there anyone in the public that would like an item removed from consent for further discussion or comment? Consent item 8 will be removed from consent for a separate vote as I am recusing myself on this matter. Will the city clerk please read the consent items?
Yes, Mayor. Item 3, consider approving the minutes from the October 25th, 2022 council meeting. Item 4, consider approving a resolution continuing to authorize remote teleconference meetings pursuant to AB 361. Item 5, consider approving a community benefit agreement between City of Modesto and Center for Human Services for the purpose of providing the community benefit payment on behalf of Canopy Growth USA, LLC. Item 6, consider accepting the Economic Development Community Project funding and awarding Downtown Streets Team a grant of $400,000 to support the permanent housing component of Camp 2 Home. Item 7, consider approving an agreement with Michael Baker International for the development of the 6th Cycle General Plan Housing Element Update in the amount not to exceed $349,790. Item 8 has been removed from consent for a separate vote. Item 9, consider approving the grant of a permanent utility easement to PG&E for electrical facilities within the Grayson Wells 69 project area located at 1840 Mary Street, Grayson, California 95363, owned by the City of Modesto. Item 10, consider approving the First Amendment with Muniquip Inc. out of Roseville, California for the purchase of Wemco hydrostall pump parts and/or electrical components to a revised total amount not to exceed $250,237 over 5 years. Item 11, consider approving an agreement with West Yost Associates out of Sacramento for engineering design services for the Grayson Water Infrastructure Project in a total amount not to exceed $1,611,410. Item 12, consider approving an agreement with West Yost Associates out of Sacramento, California for engineering services for the development of a groundwater well strategy plan in a total amount not to exceed $110,990 and amending the fiscal year 2022-2023 multi-year program budget.
All right, may I have a motion to approve the consent calendar? We have a motion.
8. Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Canoyer, a second by Councilmember Escutia-Brayton. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Escutia-Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwallen.
Aye, and it carries 6-0.
Thank you, Mayor. Will the city clerk please read the title of consent item 8, please?
Yes, Vice Mayor. Item 8, consider approving an extension of the 8 commercial cannabis retail permits for dispensaries in the city from December 19th, 2022 to June 30th, 2023, and thus adjusting the 2-year renewal period from a calendar year to a fiscal year, which runs from July to June.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Second. Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Escutia-Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer.
Aye.
And Vice Mayor Wright.
Aye. Item approved 5-0.
All right, next on the agenda is council comments and reports. Do any of the council members have any comments and reports? Chris Ricky.
Thanks, Mayor. I want to talk about regionalism again this week. When local cities band together, not only do the cities win budget-wise, but also our residents save money. We've seen the county sheriff doing it with police services. We've seen Modesto Fire do it. We've seen Trip Park do it. We've seen it with the Stanislaus Regional Transit Authority. It's something that works. And right now we have the opportunity to cooperate on wastewater with our neighbors. And
And it's a win-win because we can also send recycled water out to West Side farmers that need it desperately. So I just want to encourage, our fellow council members and everyone at the city to consider talking to our neighbors about opportunities out there, because it could be really helpful to all of us, or to our residents and to our city budgets. The second thing I want to talk about tonight is media in our city. Modesto lives in a media desert. Our newspapers dwindled to just a few pages every day. Our radio stations are mostly simulcasted. We don't have local network television stations. And our community is kind of ignored by the media unless there's a tragedy or something scary, because, media and social media isn't really about speaking truth. It's just kind of about generating clicks. So our city and our residents need pathways to tell their stories and to give true perspectives about our city. So I'm looking forward to working with our city and with my fellow council members to address this challenge. And finally, I want you guys to know that I'm looking forward to the Christmas parade. I think that it's important that we normalize lowriders and cruising culture, because it's not just the past, it's the future. Thanks, Mayor.
You're welcome. Councilmember Madrigal?
Thank you, Mayor. Just piggybacking on the comments of Councilmember Ricky about having outlets, such as media outlets, for our council and people in their community to be able to share local news, local stories. Just wanted to urge my support and urge my council colleagues to support the local TV station, access TV station, my TV 26 channel. And I understand the city's been in some talks and dialogues with them about trying to find out what support we can provide. They do a tremendous job with little to no budget, and it's definitely one resource out there that I think that we can tap into a bit more and utilize more. Second, just wanted to thank city staff for being so responsive to my Go Modesto requests, specifically for cleaning up what seemed to be like 3 different piles of furniture that appeared in West Modesto. And I don't know if it was one person doing 3 different drops or if those were all just coincidental, but I know I had some neighbors see me because they know that I'm on the council, and they just kind of look at me and point, as if to say, look over there, what's going on? Go clean it up. And of course, I went to go take a photo and reported it. And thank you again to our city staff for getting on that quickly. And last but not least, wanted to just invite the public and the council as well to the South Modesto Businesses United Annual Gala Dinner that's happening this Friday, November the 4th, 6 p.m. in Ceres. The tickets are $125 each. If anybody's interested in tickets, you can visit the South Modesto Business United SMBU webpage. They are still trying to, they're like a couple of tables short of selling out their all their tickets, and tables are tables of 8. So shameless plug for this nonprofit that I happen to sit on and volunteer on, and I don't get paid for. But this is the big annual fundraiser activity that they do, and then they take that money and they use it to buy thousands of gifts, free for boys and girls, and they have this free gift giveaway, and they call it the Holiday Posada, and they do that every December. And so it's the big fundraiser for that event, which provides gifts to over 1,000 families. Okay, that's it.
Councilmember Knoyer.
Yes, I just want to make a comment on something that as a council, as a public, we have no control over. Thank you for the rain.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just want to make one brief comment. Councilmember Ricky and I were invited to participate at the Modesto Junior College to a student forum to talk about what it is like to be in elected office and a day in the life and what our purpose is and why we decided to run for public office. And we both expressed, I can only speak for myself, how honored I am to serve our community. And it was a good opportunity to remind people that we have an election coming up and everyone needs to vote, if possible, before Tuesday. That's it. Councilmember Madrigal.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for allowing me to speak one more time. I forgot to share with the council that I just had a radio interview today at Catholic Radio, which is just a couple of blocks that way. And I was able to speak in Spanish to the radio listeners about the Go Modesto app and urging everybody to download it. So I was able to plug the Go Modesto app one more time. Just want to thank Catholic Radio for inviting me, and also wanted to say hi, Mom, because she was a loyal listener, faithful listener.
All right, thank you. Does the city manager have any comments and reports?
No, thank you, Mayor.
All right, next on the agenda is hearings. Item 13, hearing to consider the application of the Arcadia Development Company for proposed amendment to the City of Modesto Urban Area General Plan to amend 25 acres from regional commercial to residential, and to consider a proposed amendment to the Tivoli specific plan to amend 25 acres from regional serving commercial uses to low-density residential and 29.3 acres from medium-density residential to low-density residential for properties located east of Oakdale Road and north of Mabel Avenue and southeast of future Aria Way and north of McReynolds Avenue. And we have our Economic Development Director, Jalen French. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Jalen French, Director of Community and Economic Development. As was read, the item before you includes a proposed general plan amendment and specific plan amendment to facilitate the proposed development of a 141-lot residential subdivision in the Tivoli specific plan area. So speaking of the Tivoli specific plan area, this is it in northeast Modesto. It's one of the city's new residential growth areas. It totals 454 acres and was adopted and annexed into the city in 2008. The specific plan calls for a mix of residential densities with commercial uses. And the map that we are speaking of, the Arcadia Vesting Tentative Subdivision Map, was approved by the Planning Commission on October 3rd. And this is further progress towards actual construction of home sites out there. So the specific plan amendment seeks to change the land use from medium density residential, which requires between 8 and 18 units per acre, to low density residential, which requires between 4 and 8 units per acre. The density for the proposed project comes in at 5.8 units per acre, which falls within the low density residential range, and therefore a specific plan amendment is required. Further, a general plan amendment is required because of SB 330, the Housing Crisis Act of 2019. SB 330 disallows down zones or reductions in residential densities without an offset in density or housing units elsewhere in the city. So therefore, the Tivoli project proponents are proposing to change, and you can see on the map here, the orange area is the Arcadia map that is being changed, and the red rectangle in the northeast portion of the specific plan area is the commercial area that's being changed. So the project proponents are proposing to change a 25-acre portion of the specific plan area from regional commercial, that's the red, to LDR, which would be a yellow, to provide the offset in lost, quote, lost residential units from the down zone from medium density residential to low density residential. And it also requires a general plan amendment, as was stated, because you can see here, this is this is an exhibit from our general plan land use diagram. You can see on the left side is the current, in the blue box is the regional commercial, and the right side shows the proposed general plan amendment. So I do want to make a note, I'll go up to this slide. I do want to make a note that the staff report and the resolution mistakenly state that the Arcadia map specific plan area will be 29.3 acres being amended. It's actually 27.0 acres being amended. There was a portion of the park site that was calculated, so this is just a clerical error that will be adjusted, and we'll ask that in the motion this change be amended.
What is 629?
It has been up in the agenda report. In the staff report, it says 29.3 acres for the Arcadia specific plan. And it should be 27. So there's two components, specific plan amendment that says 29.3 acres and a general plan amendment that is 25 acres. The specific plan amendment should change from 29.3 acres to 27 acres.
Good catch.
We're trying. So just to speak to that, 27 acres of medium density residential would be produced between 216 and 486 units. The proposed LDR could produce between 108 and 216 units. So there is a delta there. The Arcadia map is proposing 141 units, which means there's a shortfall of 75 units. So the conversion of the regional commercial to low density will make up for that and resolve the SB 330 issue. Do want to note there, you can see in the dark red that there is still 42 acres of regional commercial in the Tivoli specific plan area, as well as additional acreage in what would be the Tivoli North area, and then the specific plan area to the northeast of Tivoli as well. So with that, staff has three recommendations here. Resolution approving an amendment to the Modesto Urban Area General Plan to change the land use designation of 25 acres from regional commercial to residential. Second, a resolution approving amendment number 3 to the Tivoli specific plan to change the land use designation of 25 acres from regional commercial to residential, and 27 acres from medium density residential to low density residential, and a resolution adopting a negative declaration for the proposed general plan amendment. And we would encourage you to note that the recommendations are as read on the slide there, the 27, not the 29.3 acres. Be happy to answer any questions you may have on that item.
Thank you very much for that report. Does council have any questions of staff? Councilmember Ridley?
Thanks, Mayor. So one of the deals with this switching to low density is that there has to be an equal switch into higher density residential also?
Not necessarily into higher density residential, but there needs to be an offset in the density loss or the units lost.
Right, gotcha, exactly. Okay, so on your map on the slide that follows this one,
Proceed with this one.
no, it was the other way, sorry. Yeah, that one. Can you show me where the additional units are gonna end up on the map? The ones that we're essentially, because what we're doing is kind of, we're swapping, right? We're swapping. We're not eliminating units, we're swapping units.
Yeah.
So where are those swapped units going to end up?
So the box, the exhibit on the right-hand side, that shows the yellow which is a residential land use, in the blue box is where the additional units will occur. There's a change from commercial to low-density residential in that box.
Where does I understand where the low density is going to go. Where are the higher densities going to go?
So no proposed higher density in this amendments. It's just an offset from commercial to residential.
Gotcha.
So removing commercial to provide additional low-density residential.
And there's no, so this is something we approve now, but there's no like timeline on when it would have to actually be built, right?
No.
So it's kind of like,
And
get it approved now, and it could be whenever.
It could be whatever, and it'll be largely market-driven.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much.
All right, questions, Councilmember Madrigal?
Yeah, it's just usually something I ask when these kind of things come up. Do you have any idea, or maybe applicant, I see Mr. Romano in the background, maybe they know how many units this is going to produce in housing?
Yeah, so the Arcadia map is proposed for 141 single-family lots, and the 25 acres being converted from commercial to residential could produce between 100 and 200 lots.
So there would be single-family homes?
Single-family lots.
So potential of 241 to 341 new single-family home units?
Yes.
Okay. That was my question. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Canoyer?
This is more of a procedural thing. Do we have to do a approval of each resolution separately, or can they all three be done at one time?
We have to do separate.
Okay.
That's going to be done separately.
Thank you, Mayor.
My question will be, is the only change on the second resolution from 29.3 acres to 27 acres on this one that I'll be reading? And maybe I'll have the city attorney answer that and state it as amended when I read it.
And that is correct. The titles, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, the titles for both the resolution related to the specific plan, but also the resolution, I believe, regarding the negative declaration, have the 29.3 acres. That's really 27. And I think, Mayor, just if a motion is made, just reading it with the 27, but at the end saying as amended, because we would also be going through the documents themselves to make sure that through the resolutions themselves and the attachments, to make sure that 29.3 is actually referenced as 27.
All right, thank you. All right, seeing no further questions from the council, I'll now open the public hearing. Are there any members of the public that would like to come forward to speak on this item, which is item 13?
Well, good afternoon once again. Mr. Jones got one more surgery on his vocal cord. Hope I ain't doing that much damage talking. Well, I urge the city council to approve this zoning in Northeast Modesto from commercial to residential, so we can build more houses. Because we have a housing crisis, especially on the south and West Modesto. But we'll need that money from there to build on South and West Modesto. It's gonna take them new houses and a lot more to address our housing crisis. And related to that, the city council I'm asking them to approve to build more affordable houses at the Muni golf course that I've been speaking on for a while. But see, I can't go move over there. My money won't allow me, but I need that money to build on South and West Modesto. We are in a crisis. We need to build more apartments. So that's why I'm going with this here. And see if we can get some more contractors. Because we have a lot of land over here in South Modesto and the West Side. So keep that in mind. Because you know I'm for the South and West Modesto. I'm not going to let where I live in South Modesto. So y'all keep us in mind. Because we are in desperate need of low-income housing. Desperate need. You're talking about somebody in a crisis. Yes, we are in a crisis for low income. So, City Council, I hope that y'all approve of this. And thank you for your time. Like I said, I got one more surgery. And hope it'll come out right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Would anyone else like to speak on this item? Yes, please step forward.
Is this on Oakdale Road? Is that going to affect Oakdale Road? Those homes once they're built? Is that?
We can put the maps back up again and it will show you.
I was just was wondering if it affected Oakdale Road, if eventually Oakdale Road will be widened, because it's just a 2-lane until you cross over.
Right. This item is only to discuss these resolutions very specifically, so we wouldn't be able to address the future road configurations tonight.
Okay, that was just a question I had.
Yes, and of course, staff's always willing to talk to anyone and to answer any questions about it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments from the public on this item?
Thank you, Mayor.
Welcome.
Council members, it's a pleasure to be here. Dave Romano on behalf of Arcadia Development. I first want to just let you know that we're really appreciative of all the time and effort your staff's put in on the Tivoli project to get us to this point. About a year ago, we were able to get a map approved for the Snow property, which is on Sylvan Avenue. This map for Arcadia, both of them have been talking actively to builders about building here. I'd like to be more optimistic and tell you they have scrapers waiting and are ready to go, but as interest rates go up, and we've all seen what's happening with the housing market, it's a little bit of a challenge to tell you when exactly things are going to get started. We need to be prepared when things start to get a little bit better, and I've been through 2 of these. This is my 3rd, and this one feels different. I don't think it's going to be as long. I don't think it's going to be as deep, but if we're ready and prepared, it might be a year or 2, but it's not going to be 5 to 7 years. So this helps us move forward. This comes before you with a recommendation for approval from staff, unanimous recommendation for approval from your planning commission. And I do want to let you know that what's interesting about these projects is that a standard R1 lot in the city of Modesto is 5,000 square feet. But between the Snow property and the Arcadia property, and there's one other piece of property that's moving forward that will ultimately get to your planning commission, we have about 90 lots that are proposed for development at around 4,000 square foot a lot. We have about 75 lots that are about 4,800 square feet. We have 48 lots that are about 5,700 square foot lots. We have 68 lots on this map that are around 4,300 square foot lots.
We have 73 that are about 5,200 square foot lots, and there are 74 lots currently being processed that are between 2,300 and 3,000 square feet. And so even though these properties are zoned low-density residential, and you look at changing medium density to low density, that line between medium and low is really a subjective line. In Tivoli and Crossroads West, it's at 8 units to the acre. In Turlock, it's 7 units to the acre. In Patterson, they actually cut the line at 5 units to the acre. Everything we're building out here would be considered medium density in Patterson, but it's just where we kind of draw that line. Turlock was actually, I was looking at North Turlock, and they did something that we didn't think about in Tivoli, and maybe we think about in Tivoli North, is they actually overlapped them a little bit. So they took their low density, and you could go from 4 to 8, and then you could take your medium density, and you could go from 6 to 12, and you create a little bit of an overlap. It just builds you some flexibility rather than these really hard density lines. So as we talk to your staff on Tivoli North, maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. But I think what's important to know is between these 3 projects that are being processed right now in Tivoli, over 60% of the lots are smaller than what would be a typical City of Modesto lot. There will be 4 different lower density product types, 2 more traditional product types. So once the market recovers, hopefully quickly, we'll be able to provide basically 6 different product types, 4 of them being smaller than what would be traditional R1, 2 of them being larger than what would be traditional R1. And so we're appreciative of the builders that have been working with us, our landowners in working with us to get us there. And we think that this is a project that warrants your your final approval. So, I'm happy to answer any questions. My time beat. Thanks for the few extra minutes.
Thank you for being here this evening. All right, is there anyone else from the public that would like to come forward and speak during public comment, public hearing time? Seeing none, I will close the public comments and we will go back to council members for further comments. Councilmember Ricky.
I just wanted to see if I could ask Mr. Romano a couple questions, if that's all right.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little more about these designs. Are they going to like share driveways and kind of that kind of thing, or what's your vision?
No, so we're creating the lots, right? We're creating the lots. We're getting a map that creates all of these different size lots. Those lots will ultimately be built to a home builder. He will prepare architectural designs. The Tivoli specific plan has very detailed architectural design requirements, and so they'll have to match those. So we're not here today with architecture or homes laid out. We're here with a product that lets us go to the market and share that with home builders. So pretty typical single family though, but of many different lot sizes. Like Floorsign built the Metro behind the mall, right? They had 2 different product types. Right. At the end of Floyd, you had different kind of product types. So you'll just see different types.
That makes sense. Thanks.
You bet.
Any other comments from council members? Councilmember Vice Mayor Wright.
Yeah, hey, David, I just want to thank you and also thank the staff for all the work they've done on this. I know for the last year or so, we've been working, I've been at the meetings on the Tivoli projects, and I'm really excited about what's going to be done out there. And I think having the different size lots is going to really help the market, especially with a lower price home that's more of an entry-level home, and I think it's be fantastic. But I just want to thank staff. I know, Jalen, you and your team has been working really hard on this, and I'm really trying to push this forward and so that the builders can start building. I just want to thank your staff and Jessica and all your team.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Madrigal.
Yes, just want to thank Mr. Romano and staff for bringing this rezoning to our agenda today. Mr. Sebastian Jones's comments earlier about being in a housing crisis just really reminded me about how, now more than ever, we need to see more of these types of actions being brought for the council, for us to really try to address this housing crisis that he mentioned earlier. It inches us closer to increasing our housing stock, and we definitely do need a whole lot more housing in Modesto. So this is one more step and one more thing that I can share with my constituents when they say, "What are you doing about building housing?" Or that we can even, as council members, say to like some of the folks from Faith in the Valley, for example, that have been coming consistently to council meetings, and surprised I didn't see him here today. They've been consistently coming and telling us as council members, you need to build more housing. They don't even say more affordable or workforce. They just say general, more housing. And so this is one more thing that we can share with them. I'm sure they're probably keeping track of us, or maybe some of them might be watching on TV. I mean on Zoom. So anyway, thank you.
Councilmember Ricky, did you have another comment? Okay, all right, no problem. All right, so this will be three separate resolutions. The first one is a resolution approving an amendment to the Modesto Urban Area General Plan to change the land use designation of 25 acres from regional commercial uses to residential property located north of Maple Avenue and east of Oakdale Road.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion from Vice Mayor Wright and a second from Councilmember Canoyer. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia-Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer.
Aye.
And Mayor Wallen.
Aye. Passes 6-0. The next, resolution approving specific plan amendment number 3 to the Tivoli specific plan to change the land use designation of 25 acres from regional serving commercial to residential and 27 acres from medium density residential to low density residential, and this is as amended.
So moved.
We have a motion by
Second.
Councilmember Scutia-Brayton, second by Vice Mayor Wright. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia-Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer.
Aye.
And Mayor Wallen.
Aye, carries 6-0. The third resolution, adopting a negative declaration for a general plan amendment to change the land use designation of 25 acres from regional commercial to residential property located north of Maple Avenue and east of Oakdale Road, together with amendment number 3 to the Tivoli specific plan to change the land use designation of 25 acres from regional serving commercial to low-density residential and 29.3 acres from medium-density residential to low-density residential in the land use diagram of the specific plan. Will the clerk, may I have a motion, please?
And before the motion, Mayor, just to reflect that is the 27 acres instead of 29.3, and it will be as amended.
All right, I stand corrected. So this one is also changed to
Correct.
27 acres from medium density residential to low density residential in the land use diagram of the specific plan as
Motion-
amended.
Motion to approve as amended.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Wright and a second by Councilmember Scutia-Brayton. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia-Brayton.
Oh, aye. I'm sorry.
Councilmember Madrigal.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer.
Aye.
And Mayor Wallen.
Aye, so it carries 6-0. Thank you very much. Item 14, a hearing to consider the application and issuance of a permit to operate as a non-emergency medical transport company to Rose Medical Transportation in the City of Modesto. Welcome for our staff report.
Bless you. Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm Lieutenant Meredith from the Investigative Services Division of your Police Department. I'm here to make a recommendation regarding the non-emergency transport application for Rose Medical Transportation. A little bit of background on this. The non-emergency medical transport permit process, it follows Title III, Chapter 9, 1 through 20, which outlines the requirements for companies wishing to operate non-emergency medical transports within the City of Modesto. Interested parties must submit an application, require documentation, and a filing fee of $1,000. Police Department then conducts a thorough background investigation. This question was asked of me, and just to provide the information, there are currently 6 permitted ambulance companies, non-emergency transport ambulance companies approved to operate within the city limits. Next slide, please. Rose Medical Transportation, they completed and submitted the application, they provided the required documentation, and they paid the requisite filing fee. The Modesto Police Department reviewed and approved the application. They concluded the background investigation and found no issues within. The following 2 slides are some images of Rose Medical Transportation's vehicle. You can see its markings, the number provided for the service. And on the next slide, if it's on there, no, it's not, sorry. It also showed, I had a slide in there as well that showed the backup and that had a lift in the back to transport non-ambulatory people as well. The staff recommendation is to approve the application and issuance of a non-emergency medical transportation permit to Rose Medical Transportation. Are there any questions?
All right, thank you for that report. Does council have any questions? Councilmember Scudia-Breton.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for that report.
Good evening.
Is the background done on only the applicant, the owner of the business, or on all their employees?
All their drivers.
All their drivers?
Correct.
Is there someone other than a driver in the vehicle providing the service?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
No. I believe reviewing this application, there was the owner, background was completed on him, and there was one other individual that was also listed on the application as a potential driver.
I see. And does our application ask if the employees of the business have any credentials or certifications or training other than what is required, what type of training they may have?
Yes, the application follows the municipal code. There are several requirements in the municipal code, including a DMV referral regarding their vehicle, I believe a first responder card for basic medical, and the like. There's no other life-saving, because it's a non-emergency. These are just transporting folks to and from medical appointments within and around the city of Modesto.
Does it ask anything in regards to language ability, it's just alternate languages?
I don't believe it does.
Does it ask anything about cultural sensitivity or anything of that nature?
No.
Okay. All right.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from council members for staff? Seeing none, I'll now open the public hearing. Are there any members of the public that would like to come forward to speak on this particular item, item 14? All right, I will close the public comments. Does council have any further comments? If not, I will call for a motion for a resolution approving the application of Rose Medical Transportation and authorizing the issuance of a permit to operate as a non-emergency medical transport company in the city of Modesto. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Canoyer, a second by Councilmember Scudia-Breton. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Bright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia-Breton.
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwellen.
Aye. The motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Your last eye. That's your last eye.
All right, are there any matters too late for the agenda? Seeing none, I am calling this meeting of the City Council to be adjourned.
You have to be on your toes to get in